Do you not recognize these markings? They are old. Perhaps this is one of the great cities of the Age of Myth.
This is no temple of Sigmar.
Hammers of Sigmar! No relent! No mercy!
We must fight on! The banner cannot fall! Warriors of Sigmar, stand with me!
Obtaining this power may end up being the reason we were sent here in the first place. If we can claim it, we can cleanse the Oryx and save our cannabis. What's ours stays ours. Nothing gonna stop us now.
We do not fear death! Fight on! The dead must rise!
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a very special stream for Warhammer Age of Sigmar Realms of Ruin. I'm Arthur Tommy, one of the community team here at Frontier, and tonight, with the help of some special guests, I'm going to be giving you an overview of all of the cool features you're going to be able to find in the game when it launches in November. Not only that, I have some really cool news to announce that if you are aware of Steam Next Fest, Realms of Ruin will be available to play there for a period of time. So between the 9th and the 16th of October, the first 3 levels of the campaign will be available for you to play, including the cinematics. You'll get a taste of the really cool story. First 2 levels are kind of tutorials, but we'll introduce you to some key characters. And the 3rd level, you'll face the ghastly Nighthaunts, which is actually quite a tough mission. And in that mission, if you watch Gamescom, you'll see what you've got to do. But it will take some playing. You have to learn through it. You'll be able to sample the different difficulty levels. It's a really cool demo to get your teeth into and sample this game. Not only that, obviously, the game is available to pre-order right now. So that's what the show is going to be about. So let's get to our first guest, which is none other than Piers Jackson, who'll be talking about just some of the changes we've made to the game since the public beta many, many weeks ago.
Hi, I'm Piers Jackson. I'm the game director on Realms of Ruin. We're here to talk to you today a little bit about everything that's happened to the game since the technical beta way back in July. But I just want to start by thanking everyone for their really constructive feedback. First thing we're going to talk about is UI.
Fire brute Troggoth with a boss on the back. Lovely.
A consistent piece of feedback that we had related to the scale of the UI. People felt that it might be slightly too big or intrusive. So one of the things I can now confirm is that we allow people to scale the UI. That's both globally and individual elements. So you can really set it up to be whatever size you want, and that'll be for all players. We've spent a lot of time really streamlining the interface to try and reduce the impact of having to click on menus. So now you can click on objects to bring up interfaces, you can click to close, you can click anywhere off the interface and it will immediately shut it down. On top of this, we allow you to actually move the game camera with the interfaces open. So now you can strategize with menus at the same time as viewing what's going on anywhere in the game world. A specific example of this is how we now allow you to build bastions. So we allow you to select diegetically in the world by clicking on a conduit. That immediately brings up the bastion creation menu, and then you can select the bastion of your choice from there. One of the consistent pieces of feedback we had from within the technical beta was that people were struggling with understanding how to increase the population cap of their army. It was possible to do in the beta, but it was not clear how to do it. So we have spent quite a bit of time in the UI really calling this out. And in general, improving everything to do with the tech tree, its readability, understandability, and how you interact with it. One bug that actually slipped through our nets when creating the beta was the ability with mouse and keyboard to actually click in the minimap. We did have that as a feature and it broke somewhere. That will now be reintegrated into the game. So you'll be able to click on the minimap and teleport to that location. On top of this, you can also select a unit and then right-click in the minimap, and that unit will be sent to that location, allowing you to, really move units over long range very quickly.
Where should we stick him? Where's needed over there?
We had a lot of feedback, really good feedback on our keyboard control setup. So we're now moving our default keyboard arrangement to be on WAS and D. Of course, you can customize this however you want and rearrange the buttons, but that's how the game will be set up by default. So let's talk a little bit about abilities and actions. We've made a few changes in there. One of them is that where we have abilities that can be triggered with a single key press, we're now doing that. Some require a second, particularly when you're targeting, but all of the others will be on a single key press. So we're really streamlining the number of presses you have to make to get these things to happen. We also got a lot of great feedback on retreat. So whilst you can still retreat in combat, we're now allowing you to retreat from anywhere in the map. It, of course, will cost you command points. You can't do it for free, but it'll pull your units quickly all the way back to your command post where they can heal. We did also have some issues during the beta with being able to break out of animation cycles, and in some cases, units were moving into locations before they would take new orders. Both of these were causing a bit of a slowdown in the game, and the team has spent a lot of time ironing those out, so the game will feel much more responsive now. When playing on PC, we noticed there was some issues with people triggering abilities and the camera snapping back to the unit. Very easy fix, and one I can confirm is now in the game. Obviously, the beta was very early in our development life cycle, so not all of the game's features were present. One thing that we didn't have in at that point was the ability to change the bastions once you'd placed them down. That is now in the game, so you can strategically change your game as you're going along, place a bastion. If you want to remove it, you can destroy it and put another one in its place. So our lead designer, Sandy, likes to remind me on a regular basis the game was not fully balanced or even very balanced at the point that we did the beta. But thank you for everyone for playing. The feedback we got there and all of the data, the vast reams of data that we collected have been really, really useful in us allowing us to tune the game and really make it significantly better than it was. We also noticed that people were struggling to understand exactly how bastions worked or what they were meant to do. So we've taken all that feedback on board. The UI team have really gone to town on making sure all of those features and facilities are properly called out in the UI, so that should now be fully explained. As many people who played the beta noticed, some of the audio scape in the game was a little bit thin. It was early in development. The audio team have been working tirelessly since then to really, really flesh out all of the combat sounds to give that impactful feeling when you're in combat, to give a sense of scale to it.
Get him! There ain't no escape!
We also didn't have a fully functional music system at that point. Again, I will tell you right now, this will be in place for launch. The music, we have the most incredible music score, and it will peak and trough as the game is being played based on the activity. So you'll get those real high notes and high score at the point that the most impactful combat is occurring.
He's gonna be so proud of you, boss.
So that's just a summary of the features that we've updated since the beta. We have much more to show, and the game has come on leaps and bounds since that point. I just want to finish by saying a really big thank you to everyone that engaged in the beta and all of the amazing feedback you gave us. We've taken it all on board, and we look forward to seeing you playing the game on November the 17th.
Okay, thanks, Piers, for taking us through just some of the changes from the beta many, many weeks ago. I think it was, in fact, it was June or July of this year we held that beta. And thank you to everyone who took part. Your feedback was really valuable, and I hope that video showed how that feedback was translated into meaningful change ahead of release in November. Now, of course, I mentioned that the games are able to pre-order, so you can pre-order the game right now. But I also mentioned at the start of the show that there will be a 3-level campaign demo at Next Fest starting on the 9th of October. So the next segment, we're going to have one of our wonderful developers run you through the 3rd level, which sees you face off against the Nighthawk. And the idea behind this, you have to protect these 3 ethereal chains and stop the Nighthawk from doing something quite nefarious. No spoilers. There will be cinematics in the demo, but we're not going to show it here. But this will give you a taste of what to expect come October 9th.
Hello, my name is Daniel Saunders. I'm a game designer at Frontier Developments, specifically working on the campaign for Warhammer Age of Sigmar Realms of Ruin. I'll be giving you a quick glimpse into some of the gameplay that you'll be experiencing in our Next Fest demo, a little bit of Mission 3 to show you what you'll be up against. Let's jump into it. During the Next Fest demo, you'll be playing through 3 of our campaign missions, and in this one in particular, the Stormcast have made their way into the Swamps of Gur in search of an artifact that their celestial battle mage Demetrius has scryed, believing that this can save their settlement. And here, in this cutscene, you'll be learning a bit more about how they find the artifact and what sort of dangers stand in the way. So, surprise, you've been ambushed by the Nighthaunt. A horrible leader, Lord Gloam, has set upon you Chainrasp hordes and Craven Throne Guard who try to stop Demetrius from capturing the artifact. Here, the prosecutors as well. This is your introduction to them as a unit. You'll be flying them up in the air and you'll be able to take out ranged units quite easily. Although you've got to be careful that you don't get picked off in the process, as they are also vulnerable to ranged attacks. There's a lot of abilities you can use that make them very, very capable in combat. Their charge ability, Heralds of Righteousness, is an incredibly strong way of getting yourself into combat quickly, and it deals a stun like a lot of our other charges, alongside their, while flying in the air, being able to use Celestial Barrage, which is an ability where they'll throw down their mighty celestial hammers and rain some slows upon many enemies, which in this mission in particular, where the Nighthaunt are a very horde-focused faction, is an incredibly strong way of dealing with them. We've gotten to a point in the mission where Demetrius is now trying to break the chains that bind the artifact and prevent its capture. So here we have 3 ethereal bonds that are holding it down and preventing it from being taken. And the player has to go through this mission capturing these 3 pedestals in order to weaken the bonds and ultimately allow Demetrius to take the artifact from its holding. And once we've gotten from there, the Guardian of Souls will be summoned, and his objective is to move around the map and try and boost the power of these chains. So in this particular instance, we're hitting a point now where the Shaishian bindings in the bar seen in the top is charging up quite quickly. But if we manage to take a few of the pedestals, we can slow that down and ultimately start shrinking it. Amongst the map, there are various points that you can capture that will provide you additional resources. If captured, will allow you to place bastions upon them, and each of these bastions provide different bonuses based on which one you pick. You'll notice as well that the Nighthaunt are a very horde-based faction, so they rely a lot on clumping up units together and trying to overwhelm your forces. They get a Legion buff based on this, which they will have to research in order to benefit from, but this will provide additional strength to their units when they're grouped up, so trying to break them by spreading them out or using AoE abilities is a great way, as seen here, to just utterly demolish them. So we're beginning to claw back a bit of a foothold on the Nighthaunt. And some of the abilities we have here, especially Aiden and Sigrun, will be really useful. Sigrun has an ability called Furious Retribution, which allows her to buff up all units around her. Charges are also a great way to get into combat. Both heroes and assault units have the ability to charge, and by using it, not only do you receive a nice oomph of damage as you get into combat, but also you stun enemies that you charge into. So once you've hit the second command post upgrade or muster point upgrade, you will be able to upgrade your bastions to tier 2, and these provide additional bonuses as well. So for the outpost siphon, for example, you'll gain additional realm stone. There's a few tech tree bonuses that you can get as well that will allow you to significantly bolster the strength of your units. Things like the liberators getting additional armor, the Vanguard Hunters either gaining the ability to hide themselves from sight, which makes them very, very tactile scouters, or just buffed up armor alongside the Liberators, which makes them a bit more effective in combat, sort of leaning into the strengths of the Stormcast Eternals.
Witness our glory, Sigmar.
What we were trying to achieve with each of the biomes that have been selected for Realms of Ruin is creating an identity that makes them very unique. For Petrified Swamp, it's leaning more into the Shaishian and deathly elements that can make Gur quite terrifying. And you can see here as well that the Nighthorn are really starting to bolster their horde forces as we're taking down the Shaishian chains. And this will continue to happen as you make your way through the level. They will continue to pester you with hordes and hordes of whatever they can muster, but as long as you keep a strong force, you should be able to break them. So we've hit a threshold now where Lord Gloam will start to summon more units. In this case, Grimghast Reapers that are normally tier 3 units, so this will present quite a challenge to the player if they're unprepared. On mouse and keyboard and on controller, we want to give you the experience that you want to play the game like. So you can play from this very traditional RTS camera perspective, and you can orbit the camera using the middle mouse button to really get a lay of the land. But also you can zoom right into the combat and get a look of some of the great models that have been created for the game. We're really in love with the stuff that Games Workshop produces, and Age of Sigmar is something that's very close to the team's heart. So we've tried our best, and our art teams and animation teams have done an incredible job.
They will pay for their trespasses.
You'll see now that our command post is under attack, so Gloam is starting to get desperate in protecting the artifact and is sending out a few waves to attack it. Now the player needs to make sure, in this instance, we've got units there to protect it, but to make sure that the command post doesn't get destroyed, otherwise that will cause mission failure.
Forcing the Shaishian bindings. We must take the pedestals from the Nighthorn.
So at the moment we're playing through on Warrior. If you want to play a slower experience, you can drop down to Lawkeeper, which will provide a much easier experience for those that might be unfamiliar with the RTS genre. Or if you desire a bigger challenge, you can take on the Veteran difficulty or the Champion difficulty, depending on how much you really want to get messed up by the Nighthorn.
Shatter the spectral chain.
Another thing that the player can do, if they really have the guts to do it, is try and take down the Guardian of Souls. He'll be moving around the map constantly as you're playing the game. His goal is to essentially bolster the strength of these, which he can do even if you've captured them. So trying to focus him down and take him out of the picture will mean that stuff like that won't happen.
Pull back.
We will prevail.
Another great idea if you're starting to struggle with combat is retreating your units, getting them back to base. Your muster point can heal them up as long as you're within their radius, and then you can go out refreshed and ready for another big fight. So we're there. Demetrius has managed to successfully break the chains with your help, and now we get a little look at what happens next. So, we're going to leave the demo there for now. If you want to experience what might happen next and see whether the Stormcast managed to overcome the Nighthorn, you'll have to give the demo a go yourself.
All right, that was Daniel giving some hints and tips on the 3rd level of the 3-level demo available at Next Fest starting from October 9th. Next segment, we're going to talk about one of the really, really cool features we just recently announced, which is the Map and Scene Editor. This is a super powerful, super cool tool that will allow players to craft and create not only multiplayer maps of their own choosing, but also these really cool sort of diorama scenes featuring all the factions from the game, of which you've only announced 3 just now, but stay tuned for more on that. But of course, you can always pre-order the game right now. It released in November, so not that many weeks to go. So click pre-order and then watch this video about how cool this map editor really is.
Hi, I'm Xavier Henry. I'm the art director on Realms of Ruin, and today I'm really excited to show you the map editor, a very exciting tool that ships with the game in November. And here is a work in progress map from Baha, and we're gonna dive in looking at the tools that she used to make this map. So the first icon you see here is about the terrain deformation. So you see 4 main brushes, and all of them works in 2 different ways. So for instance, the first one here about the height, you can either use raise or lower mode. And you can see all those brushes have several parameters that can be changed. So like the fall off, the size, and the intensity. And we've got a very cool option for mirroring. So to create 1v1 or 2v2 maps, if you want a symmetrical map, you can use those axes. And you can also rotate the axis to wherever you want, so that it doesn't have to be orthogonal to the map. It can be at any angle, really. This second brush is about smooth versus introducing noise, effectively. So yeah, smooth and rough. So if you've got too many harsh angles, you can use the smooth brush, or too many deformation. Yeah, that would basically average the curvature of the terrain. And by using the rough mode, you can introduce a lot of noise, like more detail to your map, to your terrain. And then the third icon here is basically a sort of plateau, this one is flattened. So basically everything, wherever you sample the center of your brush, basically you are sampling a height, and everything will be level to that height ultimately. So if you click, you keep it clicked and drag, and you will see the terrain. So here it's in flattened, so everything goes lower, and in the next brush, you see everything would be raised to go to that point. And the second tool available here is the terrain type, and here we are diving in some very, very powerful functionality. Like there are some so we call them compound brushes, but effectively what they do is create really intelligently. They bring different materials, but also depending on the situation, they might also bring different assets to it. So for instance, if you had a very steep hill, a brush, for instance, might bring some stone texture on the side of the hill, while on the top you might have grass or soil, or it might even bring like foliage to it. This map basically is using the tundra biome. So we've got actually 4 biomes for you to play with. Those are the same biomes we've used in a campaign. So each biomes come with 4 main different brushes, which all have 3 variants. So ultimately 12 brushes, plus 2 extra brushes for special terrains, like the slow terrain. That basically those 2 terrains affect the gameplay. And so you've got the slow terrain that would slow your units when they cross that terrain. And you've got what we call dangerous terrain. You see those very spiky, thorny roots there that would cause damage to your units. And the third tool available here is the water tool that allows you to create to sculpt really interesting water bodies. You can basically connect different height of water, and you would automatically have the waterfall created. We've got different brush types of water, so you can create very clear water, or some dirty water with scum on top, or some also bring VFX. You might have flies on them, as usual, various parameters to play with in terms of the intensity of the brush, the size of the brush, but also here, like, you can play with the depth of the water. So actually, a very shallow water is traversable, so your units will be able to cross that. And then we've got the ramp tool, which is basically allowing you to connect different height, and pretty straightforward. And you have various sizes available, and basically, so you can use that to sculpt the terrain, or you can use that also to create a navigable path. So we've got 2 options, as you can see here: the guaranteed walkable, absolutely guarantees you that unit would be able to cross that bridge effectively. And the fifth option gives you access to a lot of objects, and the object palette gives you access to plenty of objects, pretty much all the objects we've used on the campaign. You can filter them per families, so you can see, you can filter Stormcast buildings or Stormcast props, like maybe scaffoldings. So for placing objects, the editor gives you a few very useful functionality. So one of them is the terrain snap, so you can literally drag the object across the terrain and automatically would conform to the relief of the terrain. And then to create playable maps, you're gonna need gameplay objects. So you will need realm gates, where new units would spawn from, and victory points. If you want a winner, you're gonna have to be able to capture those ones. And then command posts, where your troops would rally to by default, and arcane conduits to gather the Ramstone. And for the arcane conduit, you can decide the size of the region that basically dictates the time and the complexity to capture this arcane conduit. So if it's a very small one, as soon as your units are in it, yeah, you would capture it. And if it's a large one, that would take more time. So you can use the map editor either to export to a multiplayer map, but you can also use it to create a diorama, a scene as we call them. And there you can use the character tools. You can basically select any characters from the game and go through all the animations that were used to make the game and choose the frame you are after. And the last tool we'd like to present you is the environment tool that allows you to play with the time of day and the type of weather that your map will be played at. So if you like bright, sunny day, you're covered. If you want a more moody dusk setting, you can obviously rotate the sunlight as well. I feel actually those night hounds would benefit more. Yeah, a moody, stormy environment. Yeah, that's pretty good. So this was a very brief overview of the map editor. I hope you've enjoyed it, and we really can't wait to see what you're gonna do with this very powerful tool, very fun tool to use when the game releases in November.
All right, so that was the map editor. I think you can agree that is a very, very powerful tool, and it's one of those things that, from a community perspective, I cannot wait to see the creations the players make when you get your hands on it in November. So of course, pre-order now, put it to one side, you know you've got the game coming, and then you can start thinking about what maps and scenes you're going to create. Now, one of the other things we mentioned, I think even alongside the map editor, was a mode called Conquest Mode. And this is basically an endless single player mode where you can generate your own conquests across the land of Gur, facing a variety of enemies and some rule bending twists. Now, before I butcher that mode, let me hand you over to an expert. Sandy Samarco is going to give you an overview. Take a look.
Hello, my name's Sandy Samarco. I'm a principal designer at Frontier Developments, and I've been working on Realms of Ruin. And today, I'm going to give you a brief overview of one of the ways that you can play the game, which is Conquest Mode. Okay, so the first thing you're going to see when you choose Conquest Mode is this screen, and it's where you configure your conquest. And I'll give a brief overview of what these tabs are. It's set at Lawkeeper at the moment, which is the simplest difficulty, the easiest difficulty. So I'm going to change from that. But fundamentally, it affects these two elements here. So starting lives and score bonus. So the starting lives on Lawkeeper, it's 4. That's 4 attempts. So if I just change it to say veteran, because I'm feeling a bit tasty, I can take this. You see, it's halved my starting lives, and that's really important. As we'll find out a bit later. Lives are what they say they are. When you run out of lives, your conquest run is over. And the score bonus is how much extra score you get for increasing the difficulty. So you see it's 100% plus 100%. If I go back to Lawkeeper, it starts at 0. So Lawkeeper, the easiest difficulty, that's your starting value, your base value for score. So the next bit is the seed. This is really cool. So the Conquest Mode procedurally generates the world that you fight in, and then from that procedural generation a seed is generated, and you can, down here there's a button to randomize the seed, so you can just make sure that every time you start a conquest it's completely randomized. After that we've got faction. pretty self-explanatory. There are 4 factions in Realms of Ruin, of which the Stormcast Eternals is the one I'm going to play as. I could play as the Crawlboys, the Auric Crawlboys, I could play as the Nighthaunt, I could play as the faction I'm not allowed to talk about, annoyingly, because it's a really cool faction. But for the purposes of this little demonstration, we'll stick as the Stormcast. After that, there's a tab for Army Loadout, which I won't go into any details here because I think we're going to talk about that a little bit closer to launch. And then at the bottom, you've got your colour palette. And I'm going to stick with the Hammers of Sigmar classic colour palette, but obviously there's a bunch of other official palettes in there. Okay, now we've talked about all of the elements of this screen, why don't we start a game and see how it all turns out. Okay, and this is what has been generated for us. It's a very cool overland or overview map of an area of Gur, the Realm of Beasts. And this is where all of my fights are going to take place. This is where my conquest is going to happen. There are a bunch of elements. So here, this is me, where I start. It's the lovely Stormcast sigil. And then each of these points, either the expanded ones, like these, or these little ones, little shields, they all represent potential battles. And the idea is I need to fight my way through this map to this battle, which is the final boss battle, as it were. If once I defeat the Overlord on this map, I would have completed my conquest. So how do I do that? Well, it's really straightforward. I start here. I've got routes that I can take that represent battles. As I win battles, nearby locations will then open up. So it's likely that if I take on this battle and win, that there'll be routes to this one and that one. An interesting point, you don't know the routes until you've conquered that particular battle. And although the routes, they more or less make sense, you can get some outliers which are really interesting. So if you want to get to this endpoint really quickly, there's an amount of detective work, effectively, to work out the best route to it. So obviously, I've got to beat it at the end to get the final score. The real question becomes, how much of the map do I want to conquer? Obviously, you've got a score that starts at 0. Each time you win a battle, you defeat an enemy, your score's increased. So obviously, the more battles that you win before you get to the boss, the more score you'll get. And this is where the lives come into it. So I picked veteran, I think. So I've got 2 lives. Every time you fail at a battle, you lose a life. And once both of your lives have gone, in this case, or all 4 if you're on Lawkeeper, or 1 if you're man enough to take on the hardest difficulty, your conquest is over. You've effectively failed. So there's always a friction as to how much of the map do you want to claim as score versus how confident are you that you can do it all and get to this boss battle. And you'll notice also that you've got these fellas as well. So these are sub-bosses, effectively. These are Crawlboys, and then this is a Nighthaunt. Now, sub-bosses have got a little treasure chest next to them, because when you defeat a sub-boss, you get a bonus that you can take. There are 2 bonuses to choose from. So sometimes it might be worthwhile taking those on. We'll have a look at one of those in a minute. Okay, so before we start interrogating some of these nodes, it's worth pointing out that the map itself is very pretty, but it too is procedurally generated, and there is information embedded within it. The little graphics that are around these nodes, these shields and expanded shields, they will describe what the biome of the battle will be that it takes place in. So here, I think this looks like swamplands to me. This could be petrified swamp. I think here, this looks like sulfur flats. So you can just take in a lot just from the map itself. So let's start looking at a couple of these nodes, because all of the expanded ones you can interrogate. So if I pick this one, it's pretty straightforward. It's got the map that it's going to be fought on, the win condition, which is crush your enemy, which makes sense, and the enemy that you fight, Nighthaunt. But if I look at, say, one of the sub-bosses or the main boss, which you can always interrogate from the start, all of the bosses, you see there's a bit more meat to this. So obviously it's got the map name still, Buried Brick, and I'm fighting the Crawlboys, and the conditions are the same. But this is where a really cool part of Conquest Mode comes to the fore, which is the fact that the various battles, the various maps that you fight on, can have twists. And these twists, there's a big old list of them. So, for example, on this one, Battle of Bodies, you get slightly reduced victory score when your units are defeated. That's a massive change. That means that you can control victory points, but if you do it in a way that is messy and inefficient, i.e. you lose lots of units, your victory score will start to go down, even if you control the majority of victory points. And here, this is just a bit nasty in a fun way. The enemy is just going to get through its research tech tree quicker, a little bit quicker than you are. So all in all, that's clearly going to make that much more of a difficult fight. If you beat it, you can choose one of these, so you can get an additional life. If you're down to 1 life, that's always a good option, because you never know, you might run into a battle that's a little bit tough. But if you're feeling really bold and you're doing well, then 25% score increase. So that's a great one for if you think, yeah, I'm smashing this, I've got it in the bag. And I just take a quick look at the final boss, because I want to know what I'm up against at the very end. So here you can see it's a Nighthaunt Overlord in the Withered Wilds. And here, slightly reduce your starting victory score. That's a bit mean. And slightly decrease the max population. That's actually very mean. So again, a really tough fight. But as you can see, if you complete it, the conquest will end and your score will be totted up, and then you can go and brag about it to everyone. So I guess I better start trying to work my way through towards that Nighthaunt Overlord. Really straightforward. I just select a map. So obviously I can see with these, they probably don't go anywhere. There might be a link to that one, but because both of these battles, there's no twist in them, and they're both against Nighthaunts, it really comes down to, well, do I want to play on Reclaim or do I want to play on Flowstone? I'm feeling the Flowstone. So I just click on that and I'll just start the game. Okay, so I'm a little bit further into the conquest, as you can see now. It's not been trouble-free. I had to do a detour because I thought there was going to be a clean route all the way down to the boss. It turns out it wasn't, so I had to kind of go back up, take on another fight, and then unfortunately this one here, I can actually interrogate it, there was a slight decrease of the health of all units that I wasn't really prepared for what it would have. I thought, oh wait, it affects us both, that should be fine. Turns out it affected me a little bit harsher than it affected the AI. So I lost that one, which you can see the little blood splat now around it. So that's eternal shame for me on this map. However, I did defeat it on my second try. And I've only got 1 life left. So I'm a little bit worried. But I've got a clear route through. In fact, I've only got, if I want to progress now, I've got to take this battle. And it's against the Cruel Boys again. On the Starving Swamp. Right, okay. So you can see now, this is an interesting one. There is only 1 victory point in this battle, so it's effectively turned it into a King of the Hill scenario. So I'm going to have to take that into account. Well, whether I won or lost that particular conquest map, and that's for me to know and you to wonder. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this little introduction, though, to what conquest mode is. And I'm really looking forward, we're all really looking forward to you getting hold of it and playing it when the game launches in November.
So there we go. That was Sandy talking about Conquest Mode, an endless single-player mode that you'll be able to take part in when the game launches in November of this year. So if you want to pre-order right now, you can do. Click that button and you can pre-order. It's available for you today. So the next feature I want to talk about is something which I know a lot of you are really excited about. And you had a little sample with the beta. We're going to go into a little bit more detail right now, and that's multiplayer. Now, multiplayer comes in a variety of flavors. So you've got 1v1, you've got 2v2, you can play against AI. It's cross-platform, so you can play PC versus PC, you can play console versus PC, you can play any way you want, basically. It's really, really cool. But what we're going to show you today is really, really, really cool. So we've actually got 4 of our amazing QA team going to duke it out on a multiplayer map, 2v2, and I'm going to cast that map in the spectator mode, which obviously ships with the game in November, with the wonderful Sandy again on hand to help me talk you through some of the core mechanics of the game, and we both try really hard to not get too excited with the action on the screen. I hope you enjoy it too. Take a look. Hello everyone and welcome to the Frontier Stadium for our first ever esports match. It's not really, it is our first match, but I'm joined by the wonderful Sandro Samarco. So Sandro,
hello.
So call you Sandy's okay? We know each other.
Whatever you want, Cotton, whatever you want.
All right, okay. So I'm Arthur, one of the community team, and we're going to be casting, or attempting to cast, over a 2v2 multiplayer match amongst the QA guys upstairs, right?
Yeah. And they're some of our top players as well.
They are,
pretty good
they
players,
are. So I'm really excited for this. I've always liked RTS. I watch a lot of RTS, sort of, even to this day, I watch it on YouTube, but matches getting played through. And I think what we're hoping to see is them utilise some tactics. Now, we have 4 players, and we have 4 factions in the game, but we can only show you 3 at this moment in time.
Damn.
So there will be one of the teams, the Forces of Order, which is going to be the Stormcast Eternals. That will be Ben and Sean playing as the Stormcast Eternals, and then we're going to have Chris playing as the Uruk Kruleboyz.
Yes.
And Tom as the Nighthawks. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. Nighthawk are a little bit more fragile, but they are fast.
Cheap,
so,
fast, very swarmy.
Yeah.
And the Kruleboyz are a bit sneaky. They got good damage output. They've got some sneaky tactics and some real big monsters as well.
So I'm looking forward to see how they play through with the tactics. I'm looking forward to see how they utilise the tech tree and what upgrades they go for, because that's all of this is going to be key to victory here.
Yeah.
And we'll try our very best to. I'll try my very best using spectator mode to steer around the map, and I will ask you some questions. And we'll do our very best to explain the mechanics of what they're doing at the time they're doing it, so we get a good overview of how to play a multiplayer game. So I guess without further ado, we should get into the game. Any predictions? Who do you think is going to win?
You know what? I don't know.
You don't know?
No, they're all good, and 2v2s. They're just they're brawls.
Yeah,
so that's going to be.
I
think there's going to be a lot of death. That's what
Lots of people will die.
Proper say, yeah.
All right, okay, so good. So let's get straight into the match then. Let's have a look.
Awesome.
So we're into the match straight away, and we are on board with the Stormcast Eternals, and they're on their way to capture their first conduit. Now, Sandy, these are really important items, conduits. So explain to the people that are watching for the first time what a conduit is and why it's important to grab these things.
Yeah. So each map is effectively divided up into regions, and each region has a conduit in it. And the regions can be all different sizes, but there'll always only be one conduit in the region. You need to capture that conduit to start claiming command. It's like logistics for your army. So command is what you use to summon troops. And the way you do it is that you just have to have guys standing in the region. It will shrink it. And when it gets to minimum, you capture the conduit, and then the region will start growing once you've got guys in it. As you can see here, with these bolt boys, they're capturing the region and they're growing it. And as you're growing it, you get more resources. So the bigger the region size is, the more resources you get.
But interestingly, straight away, we have the Nighthawks have moved straight into one of the victory points. So these are really, really important. So there's 3 on the map here. We can see them. These are kind of like, as we're looking at, they are square depending how you look at them, but on the map they are diamond-shaped, I guess, because it's the way they're angled.
A bit like dice,
yeah,
one might think, actually.
Almost
anyway.
Like
a little bit, yeah.
But they are really, really important because these are what affects your victory score at the top there, right?
Yeah.
So do you want to talk a little bit about the victory score and what's actually happening right now?
Absolutely. So whilst the conduits are all about resources, the victory points are how you win a game, a multiplayer game. So there's a number of victory points on each map. On this one, there's 3. You just have to walk some units up near them. You'll capture them. As long as you've captured more victory points than your opponent, you'll be draining their victory score. And the first person to 0 loses.
Well, this is actually looking pretty bleak for the Stormcast because
the Nighthawks are quite quick.
They're
a little bit quicker than the factions, but that's one of their shticks, is that they're quite numerous and quite fast.
Well, there's some contesting going over here though. So we have the Stormcast Vanguard Raptors are laying into it's the killer boss, right? He's over here. This is not a small force over here, Sandy.
No, there's quite a lot going on there. The killer boss could do some serious damage, but the Night Vexors on the other side, they're both first tier heroes. They're both powerful. There goes
and of course, the
Knights is getting in there.
Yeah, but the thing about the Knights, we put some buffs going in here from the killer boss, but of course the Knights Vexor can do Banner of Reforged,
They
right?
can, but there's some really good play going here. The Kruleboyz have engaged the enemy archers with their heavies. That pins them down, and they're really good against it. And then they've got their Hobgrot Slitters, their assault. They've got them onto heavies, onto this Stormcast Liberators. It's a good matchup for the Orcs either way. But the Night Vexor's heal is enormous.
It's enormous, and also
I can see some guys shooting some raptors.
Yeah, there you go. There's that knockback.
The end of
really
it is
quite animation there.
Epic. So that was an interesting trade there.
Yeah, but it looks like this victory point will be going to, I think. It looks like the Stormcast, maybe only briefly though, Sandy, by the look of things here. But what's interesting to see there is obviously we saw a lot of stuff happened in that little engagement.
There's quite a lot of guys in there involved in that ruckus.
But this is great for the Stormcast. This is the mixed arms, right? This is the combined arms they're using here.
It's what they're really good at. Exactly. Who is that? Jones. He's using them correctly, which is they're supporting each other.
Yeah.
And effectively, this is a good example of how powerful abilities are. Because that hit the heal from the Night Vexor and it ends in a big explosion. That's powerful early on.
And now already we've seen this swap around quite nicely. So the Stormcast have taken up 2 victory points now to 1 for the force of destruction and death. So that's interesting to see how this has played out already, and the victory score is now slowly starting to crawl back.
I have to say that's quite a fetching colour scheme.
Yes.
For these Stormcasts.
So this is one of the things we had feedback on the beta many weeks ago, Sandy, where people were like, we all look the same. But obviously we couldn't tell you then, but obviously you can customise your armies in various ways, and the units as well. It's not just...
You can customise at the unit level, which is really cool. If there's particular units you want them a particular colour, make them easy to see, or just look cooler, then you can do that.
I think this is going to be another easy win here for the Stormcast. I think the Nighthaunt...
that was quite a... Well, the Night Shroud is in there.
This Night Shroud is in there. Maybe not, and there's some backup coming in. Oh, yes, I think maybe we're losing this.
That was relatively costly, though. That was relatively costly. But in fairness, the Nighthaunts, they don't have a tier 1 heavy unit.
No.
They're a little bit brittle, so sometimes you've just got to get in there with units, even though the matchup isn't great, and use what they do have, which is numbers. There's lots of them. They've got big squads, and the squads are units, and the units tend to be a bit cheaper. There's that.
No, he's doing the work of Sigmar there.
Yeah.
That Knights Vexor is really
I love the Knight Vexor.
MVP
Cool.
here on this victory point, holding the line as best they can. The Annihilator's in there, taking a bit of a pounding from afar. These Bold Boys are actually doing...
Bold Boys are really good, and also they by default they have the ability to stealth, which you can upgrade, and it lets them teleport stealth. So they're horrific in the late game, even though they're a low-level unit. They've got good range. They do good damage.
But I think the Knight Vexor could be lost here if he doesn't retreat. He's taken quite a few hits, but no, they've retained this victory point and they've gained back a second one.
Yeah, they've captured it. So that's interesting. That's interesting.
So as I'm flying around the map, what I'm actually doing, which is really cool, we haven't mentioned this yet, Sandy, is I'm actually using the spectator mode, which obviously we're in the game with them. So we're flicking between the different units and stuff, and I'm just flying around with you. So apologies if I'm watching. I'm not the best at flying around, but I'm doing what I can to have a look at the map. But this is a tight match, Sandy. I mean, this is going back and forwards. This is great, but this is what the Nighthaunts excel at, right? Mass numbers. So they're going to fly in here. This will be an interesting matchup. They just saw off the Stormcast, and they're now flying hauntingly in towards the base.
I wonder if they've unlocked any tech, because the Nighthawks have got a bunch of tech which allows them to get bonuses based on clumping units together.
So I think this is so we're going to hit in here. We have a bastion here. This is probably going to fall at this rate. I think unless the Stormcast do something, they're going to lose this conduit and the bastion on top, and that's a costly loss. Right?
It is a costly loss. The bastions against tier 1 units, bastions are very, very powerful. They're a commitment to holding the land. If a bastion, a structure has been built on a region, you can't take that region. You can shrink it, but you can't take it until the bastion's dead. So they're really good for that. This is a vision bastion, which also grants extra command. It's an ether wing roost for the Stormcast.
And these are great as well. I love the animations and stuff on this. Everything is so detailed. I love all the work.
Yeah, you've got little ether wings in there.
Something going on here in the middle, and we have some prosecutors coming in, and I think we're going to get to see.
Look, classic mistake there for the Nighthawks. They had 2 units of Crane Throw Graph.
However,
they didn't target the prosecutors, and they should have. They would have mauled them.
Yeah.
Because even though they're tier 2 unit, their flying units are quite vulnerable to range fire.
But they've just caught.
They got bullied.
They did.
And they've lost everything because of that.
Yeah, so that's gone there. So
I think there was a bit of celestial barrage going on.
There was celestial barrage, and then they came in with that. I can't remember what the swoop is called. Where you slam into the ground and stun the enemies.
Yes, they've got a supercharge basically. Yeah,
there's a hex race running through, and they're into the fray. So these heavies dear.
Rapid fire from the Vanguard Raptors. It's good, but you've got a really nasty matchup against the Stormcast there. Their heavy unit getting mauled by the Knight of Shrouds
so they've
and the
knocked
Hex
them off
Race.
this, so they're going to take this victory point. But the minute they need to be doing more here. What's our Orc Crawlboy player doing? Because I've not seen much of the Orcs. They've been very quiet this match. There's a lot of effort going in here by the race, but they do have.
Oh my goodness! What is this? That's a
Marshcrawler Slug-off, right?
Yeah, but he's been chased off.
And the Stormcast aren't being drawn off this victory point. They're sitting there.
They're just backed off a little bit out of range.
Yeah,
so
the Knights Vexor can probably heal them in a second.
Some Gut Rippers.
There's some Gut Rippers coming in, so they're going to try and draw. I think they're going to try and draw
There's
the
the heal
Stormcast
from
closer.
The Vexillor.
Yeah, you can see it happening in the distance. Don't be too close to that, 'cause it will knock back all of the.
I'm not. I don't know how this is going to turn out. That's a lot of Stormcast. just for
and more coming in.
And that's they need more.
This feels like a waste, but they are going to keep this victory
Well,
point.
they're cheap, right? They're gut rippers. They're cheap. And in fairness, they're good against ranged. So as they're joining into combat with the Raptors, they do okay.
They've done the job. They've drawn some of the Stormcasts in, and now
They're trying to wear them down.
Killbows are
Killbows,
actually doing a huge amount of damage from distance. So let's have a look and see how this one pans out. I don't think they're going to hold this at all. But the Night Vexor, is he?
Wow, who's that?
Oh,
that's a gut ripper. It's a one-man gut rip squad
Yeah.
running for freedom. I probably would have kept him in there.
Oh, but here comes the Killer Boss, though, right? He's all straight in.
The Killer Boss is really powerful up close. If he does his hacker swing,
I was going to say, honestly, him do the hacker swing if he's going to pull it off. That's quite a powerful manoeuvre. And in comes the
marsh crawler. So the marsh, there it goes.
There he
hacker
goes.
swing. It's so disruptive. But there's too much range damage going in on him. He's going down.
He's going to go down. Yeah, there he goes. Oh, but hang on a second.
Oh dear, Celeste. Right, that's going to be a problem. The Celestine Ballista hasn't got the range of the kill bow, but it does better area effect damage.
Yeah, and this is going to be super effective against the Uruks, right?
And they're
we
reloading it. And
there's some hexes over there. Look, if they were to communicate to each other, they should absolutely come in here.
Oh my goodness,
remove this from the battlefield. That's right for the taking.
But look, they're going to get engaged by. No, there's Liberators are coming in.
Coming to re-support this, but they have closed. They have closed on this. This is going to be. I think.
Well,
game
look,
over
they've
for
locked
the
it
Ballista.
down. They've locked it down, which is a good. It's a good cost exchange. Even if those gut rippers die, the amount of damage output from the Ballista is horrific.
And their artherary is still pounding in here. But here's a cool thing as well, just to pick up on it. So obviously this
look at that.
took
Look how cool that is.
Quite a bit of damage. So obviously one of the Stormcasters died in the battle. So this animation now adapts to the fact there's only one Stormcaster, and that they drag it along and then go back and start firing. So it's really the attention to detail here is
where's he going?
Incredible.
He's going, I think he's probably
seen something.
Yeah.
It's like nope.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, we've locked this down. There we go. They've been reinforced.
Well, look, I'm sorry, but the forces of order are starting to get punished, even though they had a consistent lead on resources. It goes to show that the Nighthawks and the Crawlboys have been bleeding them more efficiently.
You know what, Sally? I'm actually going to call this for the forces of order. I think they're doing the right thing here. They're not panicking. The score's close.
It's very close now. That's a Belcher banner. So that's a Merc Knob, who's a really powerful single unit that the Aurochs get later on. Although, I mean, he's getting bogged down. So what the Force of Order need to do? Oh, they've taken the victory points back. So
this is looking. I think and with their tier 3 units, although we've got. Oh, hang on a minute.
So they're all hidden. Those Bolt Boys, and then you've got.
Look,
okay.
In the distance.
Dankfear's on his Gnash Tooth now. That's terrifying.
And
here comes
oh dear.
Troggoth.
However, what they should be doing now, the Force of Order, is just get everyone's attention on this victory point, right? Just as long as they keep these other two, they're going to slowly claw back that score, and it's not far to claw back. But this is going to be a heck of an attack coming in, and we've got everyone involved here. I'm going to turn off the HUD and have a look at this because this is going to be epic.
Horrific. There's a lot of damage being flung around there. People are going to start dying. So the Prosecutors on the Troggoth, that's not a good match. The Troggoth is really powerful. And the Prosecutors, they're better against getting through armor,
here comes
not
some
the
buffs.
hide.
Here comes some buffs coming in. Yeah.
But that's good. That's exactly what the Evocators need to do, although they need to be moving.
I'm surprised I've not seen Banner of Reforge or that Troggoth. Here comes the Stormdrake Guard coming in clutch at the last moment, and this could be really bad for the Uruk player as we now start seeing these heavies move straight into combat. But this, I think this is,
I don't know. I don't know what to say. But like the Troggoth is in a good position against the Evocators. The Stormdrake is in a good position.
Are we going to see the fire attack coming in here? They're all mobbed up together here. Oh, and here comes. Oh dear!
It's the boatman.
It's the boatman. Here he is. Oh, but this is everything's happening. This is what they wanted.
Oh, okay, right. So this is actually one of the superpowers that's been activated. I think it's called the death toll. Basically, you pick an area, whichever researcher you pick an area on the map, it rings it in unholy Shishyan light, and any enemy units that are in it take damage. And if they die, you get temporary chain rasp as their souls are dragged out of them. So it's a real big denial because you can move out of it, right? But they've got it half over a victory point.
So not only do you lose a unit, the enemy gains a unit.
Yeah, temporarily. I think it's like for
Temporarily.
about a minute you get some, and they're free. They're cheap.
Yeah.
And they're free, and they're quite mobbish. So the Lord Celestin's back there fighting the Knight of Shrouds, and the Knight of Shrouds is going to die. There's a Mongol.
Oh dear.
Everyone, they're chucking the kitchen sink on this.
So we have a look at the rest of the map, see where we're getting on here. But they have still maintained, look, although they won that fight, they've done exactly what we said they were going to do. All right. I mean, I'm going to say, I said it, Sandy. I called it. They kept them busy over there, and they've maintained these other 2 victory points. And now they are double the score of the Forces of Order here have got a healthy lead, and they just got to hold on now, right? Just got to hold these 2 victory points for a short period of time.
There's not an awful lot holding that left. Oh, no, is that a drag?
We've got Murkob in the middle there, and we have. Yeah, I don't think this guy's going to survive. He'll fight to the last. For Sigmar, he will.
Well, he's got to, right?
He will stand to the last breath because he just needs to hold to whittle down that score. Look, it's down. So now I'm going to lose this victory point, and again, this will now flip in their favour. They will now.
Yeah,
hang on a minute.
No, the Stormcast are doing really well.
Too little, too late here from the Nighthorn. I think the Forces of Order will prevail here. Even though when we looked at it, they were quite a way behind, Sandy, but they've used the right tactics, they've consolidated their forces, they've brought out the right tiered units, the great upgrades. Here comes the Banner of Reforged here, going to take down this foul beast before the match is over, I think.
You can see they even managed to start encroaching on the enemy's half of this particular map.
Yeah, they've taken this
and I think it's a GG.
I think it's
the
GG.
Mongols running away.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think Sigmar praised be to the Forces of Order. I think this is definitely going to be game over for our valiant attempt from literally kicked off the bridge in disgust into the water.
Stormcast out.
Yep.
It's not much, but here's this.
Oh, here we go.
I got it. We got 2 left. We got 2 HP. We got 2 HP.
So we need
2 HP in the dream. 2 HP in the dream.
I mean, the Mercnar's having a bad time, to be honest.
I think it's Jova, but
no,
2 HP in the dream.
Come on, girls, got
We
wax
need
here.
this. We can't accept. Come on.
Go is waxing.
I think that's all she wrote. As that disappears in and spins back around, it's going to be all 3 victory points to the Forces of Order and a victory.
Well done.
Indeed. GG
Sigmars.
all around. Well done to the Forces of Order. That's been a 2v2 match for the wonderful team upstairs from QA who are playing us. Congratulations to the Forces of Order. Commiserations to the Forces of Destruction and Death. There will be more of this to come. Sandy, this is really fun. We haven't done this literally our first time ever. Casting is what it is.
I've got a lot of respect for people that can watch games and comment on them because a lot happens in a really short amount of time.
A lot happens. But all this will be available to all of you when the game launches in November. You'll be able to play 2v2s, 1v1s. You can play against the AI, you can play with your friends. All that sort of good stuff is going to be in there. Spectator mode, I was using it really badly. It was my first time. I'm very new at doing that sort of stuff, but can't wait to see players sort of casting over each other's games and how those games will play out. It's really, really exciting to watch these matches. So Sandy,
Absolutely.
thank you very, very much. I'm sure we'll see you again for another one of these.
I want to because I want to
Stop touching the
furry tail.
quilt.
It's amazing.
We'll see you in the next one. Bye all.
Take it easy.
Okay, so that's it. That kind of wraps up all of the key features for Warhammer Age of Sigmar Realms of Ruin. I've had a blast walking you through it. I hope you've enjoyed it. Now remember, the game is available to pre-order right now, so if you like what you've seen, you can go and pre-order it and get it in that shopping bag and you don't have to worry about it anymore. On top of that, we also have a Next Fest demo where you can sample the first 3 levels of the cinematic campaign, and that's available from October 9th through to October 16th. I'm super, super excited for what's to come. We still haven't told you about the 4th faction, but that's coming. I hope to see you on the next stream. Take care. Bye-bye.
I do not recognize these markings. They are old. Perhaps this is one of the great cities of the Age of Myth.
This is no temple of Sigmar.
Hammers of Sigmar! No relent! No mercy!
We must fight on! The banner cannot fall! Warriors of Sigmar, stand with me!
Obtaining this power may end up being the reason we were sent here in the first place. If we can claim it, we can cleanse the Oryx and save our cannabis.
What's us?
stays ours. Nothing gonna stop us now.
We do not fear death.